Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy, text number 1. Mukam Groti Bachilam Mangam Langayate Garim Yat Kripadaram Mande Sri Gurundina Taranam. So, the first word of this verse is Brahmo Uvacha, which means Lord Brahma said. Srila Prabhupada explained that which is said by Brahma is called Shruti. Shruti means primary Vedic evidence. There are 3 classifications of Vedic evidence. And that is called the Prashtantraya. Just like in the courtroom, when a case is being presented for the judge, the judge decides the case on the basis of 3 references. So the main reference is the law, what's in the law books. There's another reference which are what are called precedent. You know that word? Precedent. Not the president who runs the country. Precedent means something that happened before. For instance, if some case is brought before a judge, and he knows that 10 years ago there was a very similar case. It's a very special kind of case, but 10 years ago there was the same kind of case. And he can look to see how that judge in that case decided. And that's called precedence. So, you see, there are law books, and then there are law journals. In the law journals, you find these precedents. And then, of course, The third consideration the judge has to think about is the arguments in the court case in front of him. So these same three considerations are found in the Vedic evidence. So the laws, the prime Vedic statements are called Shruti. And the law journals are called Smriti. In the Smriti are contained the Puranas, which means histories. So by reading Puranas, one can see the Vedic law in action. And then there's Nyaya. Nyaya means logical argument. The scripture called Vedanta Sutra is an example of Nyaya Shastra. So, now you can understand. Brahmavacha means this is the law. And what does Lord Brahma say here? He says, we're looking in the middle of this verse, Iti avadyam nanyat tvad asti bhagavan api tan nashudham. So, iti avadyam means it is a great offense. It is a great offense to think that there is some truth beyond Krishna. Because Krishna, we see this word, Shuddham. Shuddham means absolute. And the word absolute means including everything. There is nothing beyond Krishna. Hare Krishna. This Krishna himself declares to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Nanyat, what is that? Parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. He says, my dear Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. So, why then do the living entities in this material world imagine that there is something other than Krishna? Srila Prabhupada, in the end of the purport, gives the example of crows, black crows and white ducks. Crows are very fond of garbage. Whereas white ducks live in nice clear lakes and they never mix with crows. Now, the reason that some souls have entered bodies of crows and others entered bodies of ducks is because of a different desire. So, it is also said that throughout the whole universe, there are two kinds of living entities. Dvao bhuta loke sargosmin daiva asura evacha. That there are two kinds of living entities in this universe. One are called Deva, the other Asura. So Deva means demigod or devotee. Vishnu Bhakti Smrito Deva. The Devas are known as the devotees of Vishnu. And the Asuras are against the Devas. They have always a different opinion. So therefore the Asuras will not worship Vishnu just because the Devas do. Mm-hmm. They must be different because they have a different desire. Now, coming back to birds, there's a nice little story that was told by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. This is a story about one swan and some cranes. You know, these birds with a long neck, yes, and a long beak. So once a swan came flying down and landed in a pond which was the home of some cranes. These cranes had never seen a swan before. So they addressed this newcomer. Why do you have this kind of reddish mouth and reddish feet? What kind of bird are you? And the swan replied, I am a swan. And the crane said, where do you come from? And the swan replied, my home is a lake called Manasarovar. This Manasarovar lake is a heavenly place. It's a famous place described in Vedic literatures. Manasarovar Lake is always a place where great sages take shelter. So, this one, having said that, made the cranes very curious about this place, Manasarovar. So they wanted to know more. What is this Manasarovar lake like? This one replied, the water in the Manasarovar lake is just like nectar. And floating on the top of the nectarian water are huge golden lotuses. And within the lake there are islands which are formed out of the most precious jewels. Diamonds and rubies and emeralds. And there are always very fragrant breezes, gentle breezes blowing across the surface of Manasarovar lake. Which catch up the dust from these, the pollen dust, from these lotuses, that dust, and blows that dust here and there. And thus the breeze always has a very nice fragrance. So the crane said, all right, but we have one question for you. Tell us this. Are there big snails at this Manasarovar lake? And the swan said, no, there are no such kinds of creatures there. And the crane said, then we would never go to that place. We don't consider that place a lake at all. It sounds like a desert. Therefore, we are content with our pond here because there are so many nice fat snails. So, of course, the snails represent material sense gratification. So when this selfish living entity, who takes himself to be the center of everything, hears about Krishna, hears about the spiritual world, he wants to know, all right, sounds okay, but tell me, can I gratify my senses there? You speak of Krishna as the all-attractive Lord. You speak of his abode, Vrindavan, as the spiritual destination, the spiritual world. You say that the devotees who dwell there eternally are merged in an ocean of bliss. But I want to know, if I go there, are there cigarette machines? Are there bars? Is there television? So they think that it sounds nice, but if I can't gratify my senses there, like here, then why should I go? It's not worth my going there. Just like those cranes. Oh, we like our pond here. We don't want to go to that Manasarovar. Here there are fat snails. So this is why the selfish living entities think that there's something other than Krishna. Or actually not just something other than Krishna. Something better than Krishna. Which is sense gratification. And that sense gratification is right here, in this wonderful material world, right here in Plovdiv. Therefore, Plovdiv is superior to Goloka Vrindavan. Who wants to go anywhere else? We have everything we need right here. Yes. Very nice. Very nice. You have everything you need here. All the various items of sense gratification. But maybe you're forgetting that all of these nice items of sense gratification, your cigarettes and your wine and rakia, and all the other things that keep you fixed in Plovdiv. All these things come in a box with 4 sides. These 4 sides are birth, old age, disease, and death. So you may like it here. But by staying here, you have to suffer birth, old age, disease, and death. Mm-hmm. So what kind of happiness is that? This is a fool's paradise. Mm-hmm. You see, Maya, this is Maya's business. See, these items of sense gratification, they're simply bait. You know this word bait? Like you bait a hook when you go fishing. Or the mouse trap. That food they put inside of a trap or on a hook is called bait. You understand? Okay, so these items of sense gratification that we're so fond of here are simply Maya's bait. We're like, there's a story of one man in California. He was driving on the big highway in his big car on the way to his wedding. And he was in a real enjoying mood. So he had the radio in his car turned on loud. And he had the window rolled down and his arm was out like this. And he's driving with one hand. And he was wearing a sharp hat with $100 bill in the band. And as he was driving down the highway, because the windows were open, the wind blew his hat off and went rolling into the street and off to the side. He was very attached to that hat. And also there's $100 bill in the band. So he immediately was braking, stopping the car. But there were a police car behind him. And the police car spoke on the loudspeaker, there, that you cannot stop here. You must keep driving. So he had to drive until he came to a benzene station. Then he got off and stopped his car. And then he was running back. Many hundreds of meters. He was running to find his hat. And finally, he came to the place where his hat blew off, and he saw it across the road, way on the other side. So there were 2 lanes of traffic, many cars going this way and that way, and his hat was on the other side. So he was running between the cars, jumping. Then he came to that grassy part in the middle between the 2 roads and ran across that, and then on the other side, jumping between the cars. And then he picked up his hat from a bush. The $100 bill was still there, so he was happy. And he fixed the hat again and brushed it off and put it on his head. And then again had to run across the road. So as he was jumping between the cars, one car almost hit him. But he managed to jump out of the way. And he thought he was very clever. But he didn't see that there was another car coming behind him, which hit him and killed him. So this is how Maya works. She offers us these useless items like sharp hats and $100 bill. And we become attached like foolish animals. I was saying yesterday how the living entity in material world is like a foolish animal. So Maya is dangling this bait in front of our nose and saying, come on, come on, come on. And we are running. And there is some danger, so we're jumping this side and that side, and we think we're very expert. But sooner or later, we will be killed. It's just a matter of time. So, this idea that there's something better than Krishna, sense gratification, is a very stupid idea. Now, someone may say, well, all right, but why is it I do not feel satisfied? Just, I come here to the temple, it's nice. The chanting is nice, that's all right. But I just don't feel satisfied. I know that out there are so many enjoyable things. Just like yesterday I was looking out the window. I saw many ladies walking, young ladies walking by in their short black dresses. So that's an example. So these are nice. And when I come here, I see the deities and the chanting, prasadam is nice. But I remember these ladies in their short black dresses. And I want to also go see them. So, if you say complete happiness is here, then why do I think of the ladies in their black dresses? Those ladies we call Maya Devis. Why does someone think of them? Because his desires are not surrendered to Krishna. And why are his desires not surrendered to Krishna? Because again, I mentioned this already, because he's selfish. Because he thinks, ultimately, I am at the center. Not Krishna. You see? These kind of persons, they come to enjoy Krishna. Yeah, Krishna is nice. I also feel good here. When I go to the discotheque, I feel good also. This is the problem. That they still think, I am at the center. But a real devotee of Krishna, he thinks, he puts Krishna at the center. Mm-hmm. It is Krishna's desires that must be satisfied. That's my desire. Now, those who are attached to sense gratification are afraid to surrender in that way. You mean I have to give up everything and just serve Krishna and don't think of anything else? Forget even about the ladies in the black dresses? Oh, that's too much. And because they don't give it up and surrender to Krishna, therefore they have to suffer. Mm-hmm. So this whole idea that there's something other than Krishna, it just leads to suffering. Brahma says, Iti avadyam. It is a great offense. And that's why you suffer. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshiyat shad. Ishadapitasya viparyo smriti. The Bhagavatam, 11th canto, says that as soon as one thinks there is something else than service to the Lord, bhayam, then he's immediately placed in a fearful condition of life. Mm-hmm. So, this sadhana bhakti, this practice of devotional service, is the practice of surrendering all of our desires to Krishna. And in this way, learning what is real happiness. Happiness which is not associated with any fearful condition. Just as when we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together for a long time. First, it starts off as a kind of practice. We may not be so spontaneously attracted to it, but the devotees are chanting, so let me chant also. And as I chant, then gradually, this is the wonderful nature of the Maha Mantra. Gradually, the more I chant, the more the mind becomes focused. Mm-hmm. I forget about those ladies. I forget about everything. And simply glorify Krishna. That's the prime service. When we speak of serving Krishna's desire, this is the primary service. Kirtan. The root of kirtan is in Sanskrit is kirti, which means fame, glory. So kirtan means to glorify Krishna. So, just like we all have that experience, if we hear someone speaking about us, here, put it in your mouth, you need it. We all have the experience. If we overhear, we hear around the corner a couple of persons speaking about us. We hear our name. And we hear these two people saying, "Oh, he's very nice." And then we become very attracted. Oh, that's that's very good that they say this. We feel very satisfied. Someone appreciates me. Oh, they are nice people. Okay. Immediately we think of those people speaking in this way as our best friends. So this propensity, you see, everything comes from Krishna. So also this propensity comes from Krishna. It originates in Him. Mm-hmm. So when we glorify Krishna, when we chant Hare Krishna, then He becomes very satisfied. Mm-hmm. And He pours His mercy upon those who chant His holy name. What is that mercy? It is the pure taste of transcendental bliss. Mm. So this anyone can experience. To sit down and engage in kirtan. Not just for 1 minute or 3 minutes, but for 1 hour, 2 hours. Just chant. And you'll find, first of all, that your mind, because the Hare Krishna mantra is so nice, because it is Krishna, so the mind becomes focused on Krishna. And then in return, Krishna's mind becomes focused on us. So it's this point where the consciousness of the living entity and the consciousness of Krishna meet. That's what we call Krishna consciousness. And when the two meet, there is transcendental ecstasy. But you can only come to that point of meeting Krishna in the realm of pure consciousness when you give up all this maya, this bait of the illusory energy. That has to be expelled from the mind. Otherwise, the mind cannot meet with Krishna on the transcendental platform. But why should we be afraid to give up this excess baggage? Mm-hmm. Because If you just engage in kirtan for 1 hour, 2 hours, and the mind becomes focused, and you begin to experience Krishna, you'll find that is the real happiness. That is pure bliss, which is not associated with anything fearful. Because kirtan delivers one from the bodily conception. His happiness has nothing to do with the perishable body. When the devotees become ecstatic in kirtan, they forget all about their bodies. And then there's no more anxiety, there's nothing to worry about. Even if the whole roof collapsed, we would just say, Jai! And go back home to Godhead. But all other kinds of happiness, happiness in the material world, it is associated with fear. Mm-hmm. Just like the animals. You see the animals, they're looking here and there for sense gratification while they're in anxiety. That some enemy may attack. Mm-hmm. When the birds are hopping about looking for things to eat, they're always turning their head. Where is the enemy? Where is the enemy? Or when the man is counting his money, he's always looking. Also, when he has one of these young girls in the black dress, he's also looking. Who's watching? Who's looking at my lady? I'll hit him in the face. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, this kind of happiness is like sweet rice mixed with sand. Sweet rice actually sweet rice is considered by Brahmanas to be the best of food. It's called Parama Anna. Anna means food, and Parama means the best, supreme. So it's the supreme food stuff. How many like sweet rice? Raise your hand. Everybody likes sweet rice. But if you take that sweet rice and put sand in it, then you can, when you eat it, you can taste the sweet, but the sand is there. And it ruins everything. It's so frustrating. Because the sweet taste is still there, but you can't enjoy it. And this is exactly what sense gratification is. Some pleasure is there. We won't deny it. But it is associated with anxiety. And you can't separate it. It's just like the sand and the sweet rice. You can't take out those grains of sand. No way. And therefore, the pleasure, the enjoyment is actually ruined. You try to enjoy this sense gratification, but you cannot. Although still there's something sweet, that's true, something sweet is there, but it's associated with so much misery and anxiety that you can't enjoy. Therefore, when you look at those people in the material world, you don't see anyone happy. If we're taking the definition happiness now, happy, to be someone who's always happy. That's his natural state of mind. You don't see people like that out there. Well, maybe for a few years when they're young and brainless. Mm-hmm. Just like young girls, when they're 16, 17, they always have a big smile. But that's because they have no brain. But check again in 10 years. They don't look happy then. No. You see, 6 boyfriends later, after having 2 or 3 babies, they're depressed. Yes. So, you see, in this material world, people are, some of them are just bored. They don't know what to do. Some of them are angry, always ready to fight and yell and scream. Some are just crying all the time. Mm-hmm. Some are very proud. Actually, this state of being proud, many materialistic people think that's happiness. See, when these people have a big house and a big car, and they come up like that. Then envious people think, oh, he's a happy man. But pride is not happiness. The book distributors know that. They meet these proud people on the street and they can see right away they're not happy. Sir, please take this nice book. No! He's not happy. So, we see these different mental states in the material world. Boredom, anxiety, anger, misery, pride. And finally, madness. Some people are just crazy. The number of those people is increasing all the time. They're simply crazy. I mean, it hasn't come so far in Bulgaria, but in some Western European places, like, for instance, Amsterdam, where I'm also GBC. So Amsterdam, it's a city full of crazy people. I can tell you for a fact, if Bulgarian people of Plovdiv, if they saw some of the people from Amsterdam, some of those kind of people would appear here and be walking on the street, they would be calling the police. There are crazy people on the street. But in Amsterdam, that's normal. And I see this is increasing more and more. Wherever especially in the Western countries, wherever you go, you see more of these crazy people. And don't worry, it will also happen here. I'm told that it already starts to happen now. But this craziness, it is also not happiness. Mm-hmm. So happiness means enjoyment that is free of any anxiety. And what is that state of no anxiety? Jalodri, tell us. What is it called? One word. Vaikunta! Yes. The spiritual world. So, those who want real happiness, they want to go there. They don't want to stay with the cranes and the big snails. They want to fly back with the swans to the Manasarovar lake, to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka. And we can fly back tonight in the Stay High Forever Kirtan. So again, we'll announce this just like on the television there. Announcing some product. So tonight at 6 o'clock we will have the Stay High Forever Kirtan, in which we will chant Hare Krishna mantra to Srila Prabhupada's original melody, non-stop for 2.5 hours. And this is in commemoration of, because we are coming to 1996, Srila Prabhupada's 100th birthday anniversary. So, as we come to this celebration of Prabhupada's 100th birth, the devotees are in ISKCON have started various programs to remember Srila Prabhupada, to increase the remembrance of Prabhupada. So this Stay High Forever Kirtan is to cause remembrance of how Srila Prabhupada started this movement. So, just as Srila Prabhupada used to do in the beginning of ISKCON in New York, 1966, everyone is invited to bring their favorite musical instrument. Bhaktivesco will bring his guitar. And any other instrument you may like to play. Please bring it. And we will just sit down together and chant for 2.5 hours. And then I guarantee you will experience Vaikuntha. And once you experience Vaikuntha, then who wants to come back here? Back to Hellhead. There's Hellhead and Godhead. All right, so we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.